Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mindful Mornings, wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, noon, or night. Today's topic is integrity. We're starting off on Monday. It's not always easy to live in integrity. Monday's a good day to practice it. It's easy to just shirk your responsibilities and go back to sleep, curl up, especially now that wintertime is rolling in. It's cold outside and the heater's going. Well, maybe I'm just describing myself. Maybe you're more motivated and driven and dedicated than I am. But it always takes a little bit of extra integrity to say, you know what? I want to follow through on what I say I'm going to do, not just for the sake of other people, but for the sake of myself. Sometimes we'll start with a little meditation here, sometimes not. I would always encourage you, if you join us, uh, to sit for a few minutes before you come in. It's clarifying, brings you stillness and presence, and allows you to tune into the moment. What is integrity? Why is it a value? Why is it important? You're in integrity. That means all of your parts, all your pieces parts are integrated. All your disparate personalities and visions for the world are brought into one, into a coherence. If you operate in integrity, you operate from a sort of divine truth, don't you? It means you're going to do what you say you're going to do. This is really important. You're on the job, and they say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Boss, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. And they say, okay, we're counting on you. Go ahead. If you do it and you deliver on time and on budget, that is a little bit of reinforcement of confidence for them. Next time they come to you, next time they have an issue, they'll look around their human resources and go, that gentleman or lady is going to take care of what they say they're going to take care of. I can count on them. I can trust them. So having an integrity or living in integrity shows people that you're going to follow through on your promises, shows you that you're going to do that. I think that's the primary thing. If you don't have confidence in yourself, how can you communicate anything of confidence to anyone else? If you're too busy shading, backsliding, lying, covering up stuff, missing opportunities, your soul is sort of full of holes. And it doesn't catch prosperity because you're like a leaky sieve. Everything you try to put in there is just going to leak right out. Whether that's financial abundance, relationships, or anything else in life. Having integrity seals up all those holes. The challenge is it may not always seem possible to follow through on what you say you're going to do. Got something meeting scheduled for Thursday, 2 p.m. Thursday at noon rolls around and you're like, oh my gosh, I really don't want to do this meeting today. I'm not up to it. I'm not at my best. I would rather just cancel the meeting or reschedule it than show up, half asleep or half with it. Maybe you have brain fog that day. Maybe you have some emotional things going on. My advice, my recommendation for myself and for anyone would be go ahead and follow through on that if you possibly can. Even if you show up at 90% or 80%, that's better than not showing up at all, correct? One of the maxims of being an actor, showing up for an audition, I have learned from friends and my own experience, the worse your day has been, the more chaotic, the more hectic, the better your audition is going to go. So if you break up with your boyfriend or girlfriend, your dog runs away, you get a massive bill in the mail, you find out the IRS is going to audit you. You get in a minor car accident, some, terrible things going wrong. You're scattered. You're at a superheated emotion. Best not to cancel that audition and just not show up, because what can come from that? As King Lear says, nothing comes from nothing. Show up, because what often happens is that rawness leads to something real about your audition. Don't just be an actor showing up, mouthing a bunch of lines that you memorized and trying to project an image. Be real. That's what good performance is about. The best actors aren't acting, they're just being, right? Your beingness is heightened if you've gone through the fire that day or that week, that month. Casting directors are going to go, the director will say, wow, something about that person that affected me, that moved me, whatever they did up there on stage or in front of the camera, that moved me. If you would have had just a perfect day and walked in and recited your lines, they'll be like, okay, next. But there's something that was ignited inside of you, and you chose not to flake out. You chose to have integrity. You had yourself on that audition slate for 10:45 a.m. You showed up early, continued running your lines in your seat, looking all the way down and seeing 50 other people who look just like you, and say, I don't care about those people. I care about me, the director, the person behind the camera. I care about looking into that lens and delivering something real. So integrity even seeps into the performance itself. It's not just pretend. The stories we tell on film and stage and in books and elsewhere, these are archetypal. These are shared experiences. My experience is your experience. On another Mindful Mornings, we talked about the principal calling you in, you getting caught out in a lie about what you did with that cherry bomb, blowing up that toilet and shutting down school for a week and a half due to massive flooding. Well, you can watch that one. Put a link in the description. Principal says, I know that you did it. You're lying, and you're only lying to yourself. You really are lying to yourself. And if you have integrity, you stop lying to yourself. You start telling yourself the truth. And you can walk through your day with your head held high, knowing I'm not leaking out. I'm not presenting a false version of myself based on a bunch of obfuscations and lies. I am what I am, as Popeye says. Got a problem with that? Take it up with the man upstairs. Someone comes at you judgmentally, pointing their finger at you about something you did. You're a child of the Most High God. You are his ambassador. You've got nothing to be ashamed of. Someone starts hating on you, calling you out about something. If you're in integrity, you don't have to worry about that, do you? Yeah, I did what I done. If you don't have integrity, you have to think back and go, oh, what was the story that I told them? Was it different than the other story that I had? And you got all these simultaneous versions of reality splitting off into the multiverse. And you're trying to track that down and jump timelines to be able to keep up with your own fibs and lies, little white ones or otherwise. I want to hear your stories of integrity in the comments below. Tell me about a time where you really had to fight hard to do the right thing, to be real, to do what you say you were going to do, to follow through on your promises to yourself, to your family, your friends, to your coworkers, to the people around you. Tell me about a time that it was really hard to do. I'll tell you about a time. Last week, this live stream faced a little bit of a challenge because the facilitator had some other business to attend to and couldn't show up. And we had to kind of scramble at the last minute to keep things going. And it really would have been easy just to say, well, they dropped the ball, so I guess I can drop the ball. No big deal. Even this morning, it's Monday morning, slept over the weekend, caught up on some sleep. When the Kundalini is really active, you got to take plenty of rest time. You can't be getting up at 3 a.m. like I often do and go to bed at midnight every single night. You need some rest. So gratefully, that's what happened over the Thanksgiving weekend. Woke up this morning, as I sort of alluded to, it's cold outside, sub-freezing. The furnace is blazing. It's nice and cozy in here. Facilitator still can't join us. So it would have been easy to just be like, you know what? Let's skip it for the day. Let's go back to sleep for a little while. I really wanted to, and I was tired. Got through with my meditation, and it was about 3-4 hours ago. There's a number of times where I was like, geez, just sleep. But ironically, the topic for today, integrity, kept ringing in my ear. And I thought, well, if I can't live up to my own vision of what integrity is, how can I possibly expect to broadcast that as a possibility for other people? Do as I say, not as I do. That's not very nice. I'll try to do what I say. That's integrity too. One thing you might find if you start living in integrity more is that you complete your to-do list and don't just let it float to the next day, the next day. If you make a to-do list for today, tick off all those boxes, even if it's painful to finish that last one, because that'll show yourself when you wake up tomorrow, oh, I follow through on what I say I'm going to do. That way you can trust your future self to execute the plans you invent today. If you don't trust your future self to do it, you're just whistling in the wind, aren't you? If you do trust your future self to do it, guess what? Your dreams can come true, because your dreams get broken down into that to-do list, right? I want to make $10 million by 2024, you say. What does that mean? Let's say $12 million to make it easy. That's $1 million a month, right? It's a lot of money for most people. I don't know how it's going to happen. God knows how it's going to happen. So I'm not going to plan what I'm doing next July 23rd to make it happen. That's God's business, not my business. He'll let me know in the moment. What I can do is start to chart out what those goals are and wake up with a daily to-do list. Got to make $1 million a month. What is that going to take? $250,000 a week. Ideas will start coming. Side hustle A, B, and C will start emerging. And God will show you step by step what needs to be done for plan A, plan B, plan C. Those are not fallback plans, they're consecutive plans and simultaneous plans, concurrent. That's what it is to have multiple revenue streams, right? So you're not just putting all your eggs in one basket. Maybe you're doing some real estate. Maybe you're doing a few different types of jobs. Maybe you're writing a book, doing some of your own thought leadership stuff. Get YouTube rocking a little bit, monetize that. You don't know what the steps are until they happen, right? So God will tell you when you sit down and plan your to-do list for the next day. Don't do it that same day. Here's what I'm going to do today. Do it the week before, the day before. I use Notes on the Mac and iPhone, the little Notes app, and I put the little circles that you can just check off when something is finished. There's been so many times where I was diligent about getting a to-do list going, and I just started it, and then you just kind of kick the can down the road when you don't have time or inclination to follow through on what you say you're going to do that day. Do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow never comes, does it? This thing is floating in your consciousness forever and ever. I believe that to some degree, disease is the residue of chores left undone. Disease is the residue of chores left undone. Because those are plates that are still spinning in your consciousness. You know you got to do it. They're grinding on you. They're nagging you. But you're not doing them. You're pushing forward till tomorrow and the next day and the next day. That demonstrates a lack of integrity. You say, oh, I didn't have time to do it. No, not about time. It's about the will. Get the will or not. You see these ultra marathoners, you really got to respect them, don't you? You don't just roll out of bed one day and go run 1,000 miles or however many miles these people run through the deserts and over hill and dale. That takes an enormous amount of training, dedication to your craft, diet, exercise, all the other things that you need to do on a daily basis to maintain yourself to be able to do that. So it's not about going through the finish line ahead of someone else or behind someone else. It's about following through on what you tell yourself you're going to do. And those Ironman athletes, those ultra marathoners, Tough Mudder, I really appreciate what they do. It's a great metaphor for what we should be able to do in our lives. I don't feel like anybody needs to be I speak for myself. I don't need to be an overachiever. I don't need to be an achiever. I don't need to do anything. My work is done in this life. This is all gravy time. I've crossed over to the other side and I've been brought back here for my own mission. And I'll tell you about that sometime, but it's not as heavy as some people think life is. Got to excel, got to achieve, got to be the best. That's great. For me, it's not about that necessarily. It's just about being the best version of you that you see inside, allowing that being to come out into the light. And that takes cumulative action, doesn't it? It doesn't just happen in a day. I don't care what it is that you're up to in life as a career or as an avocation or a hobby. It doesn't just happen overnight. Don't become a great piano player, great swordsman or woman. Not a lot of women wielding swords, but I'm sure there are some. Be a great chef. Looks pretty easy when they do it, but that takes years and decades of dedication and practice to be good at that. And chef's a good example. It's not just about cooking food, is it? It's about managing all the people around you, being a good leader, setting an example, being an exemplar of the right way of working. We work with patience. We work with precision. We cook with love and attention. We don't just sling it out to get it done. A good chef will never take the sauce out of a pan and just ladle it over the thing, piece of fish or the meat. Even on a really busy night, you'll see this. Really busy night. They'll be an example to themselves and to the grill cook, the sauté cook, the garde manger, and everyone else in the kitchen. They'll be an example. By taking that pan and that sauce that they cultivated over many years of cooking and over much time in the kitchen that evening, and they'll take a spoon and gently ladle that out 4, 5, 6 times. Anybody watching the expo or a server coming in might go, geez, let's get it going. Come on. Why are you doing that? Just dump the sauce on there. We got to go. When you're in the weeds, that's when you have to slow down even more. In the military, they say slow is smooth and smooth is fast. The chef is smooth that way because he or she is slow, patient, careful. That takes a huge amount of integrity, not to get sloppy when the going gets rough, but to slow down and really do it right. They may not say that, but everybody in that kitchen notices. The chef is telling them, putting them on notice. Love what you do. Take pride in your craft. Don't be sloppy. Don't do anything, just to get it done. Do everything to do it beautifully. Bring perfection to everything that you do. Not because it's easy, not because it's expeditious. I don't care about that. The only thing that matters is bringing excellence to the work that you do. Everything else will fall away. The receipts from that night, diners' opinions about what's going on, people shouting in your ear if they're needing this, that, and the other. The only thing that will stick with you is your own integrity to do good. to do good in your craft, to do good in the world. That's the only thing you can really bank on at the end of the day. When you look back at your life record, people talk about their life flashing before their eyes. It's not too late to step into a perfect alignment with your dharma, with your destiny, with your life plan, with your mission. It's never too late. You can do it right now if you haven't before. And if you have before, you can continue. And if you can continue, you can urge other people to do that. Set an example. A chef, when she cooks with attention, care, patience, that food becomes more nutritious. That food becomes tastier. And it certainly looks more beautiful, doesn't it? You ever see shows like Chopped on Food Network where they have a few chefs in there and they grind it out real fast during an hour-long program to make 3 meals, and they've got to do it with certain set foods, some of which are very strange to use. Got to do it with marzipan, Italian sausage, Durkee's hot sauce, and popcorn. Make me a great dinner. And they're like, sweating, going at it so feverishly that they cut their finger, bleed into the food. You just want to go, guys, you're taking it way too seriously. Slow down. Don't flail through life because someone has, got a camera on you and they're expecting you to do something. Don't flail around, slice your finger and bleed into the food and give everybody some sort of foodborne illness. It's not nice. It's gross. You can almost see it coming too because they're just decentered. They're out of their body. Get in your body. Get present. I don't care what happens. You fall on your face and you lose the competition. So what? I didn't win my $1,000, $10,000, whatever it is. What's needful in that moment is for you to be present, for you to have integrity, which means believing in yourself. You might even stop for just a minute. Take a breath, look into the judge's eyes. Thank them in your heart for the opportunity to show up and do your passion in front of millions of adoring fans. While everybody else is literally running through the kitchen. Bad idea. Running behind you, running around, holding hot things and steaming pans and sharp butcher knives. Running. Scrambling. They think that they have some other master. There's no master in that studio that day. The only master is upstairs. He's for you. He wants you to succeed. He doesn't want you to flail around like a ragamuffin. A great chef is not just a good cook. They know every phase of that restaurant. They know what's up from the floor tiles to the rafters. They can sit down, throw a tie on, throw a suit on, and have a meeting with investors and with the other owners of the restaurant. Break bread, lay on the charisma, give the elevator pitch. They can bust tables when they need to. They can wash dishes. They have been a dishwasher. They have been a busser. They can do prep. They can run the salad station. They can run saute and grill. They can do every station in there with total ease and acumen, skill. They can walk around with a clipboard doing the ordering. They can get their behind the line and cook anything in that restaurant. They know where every one of those ingredients came from. They know what farm the herbs came from, and the salad greens and the beets. They know the other farm the butternut squash came from. They know the rancher who produced the yak that's on the menu that night and the lamb. And they know that rancher's son and daughter. And they know where they go to school. And they know that it's the big homecoming game coming up. And they'll chat about that when they pick up the next order by hand, showing that purveyor, that supplier, that they care. Give me the very best of what you've got, because I'm giving you the best of what I've got. And that attitude of the general going into battle side by side with his or her soldiers, being able to pick up a machine gun in the trenches. Very important. That takes integrity too, doesn't it? You're not just at the top now, bossing people around. They're not your servants. You're their servant. You're there to serve everybody who works with you, everybody in that org chart. You're there to be there for them, because now you're responsible for their livelihood and the happiness and health of their family and friends is pinned to you and your performance now. It's very important to have integrity. See someone like Alice Waters, one of the big instigators of the slow food movement. Slow food movement didn't need to come around until everything got fast food in America, right? Slow food was the way we did things. Slow food, organic, regional, seasonal, sustainable. That was not a thing until the last couple decades, because earlier on in history, that's all we had. We've gotten so far away from that with all the industry practices and, pesticides and hormones that we put into things, and the quickness with which people expect things to be delivered to them. The slow food movement that Alice Waters brought back made us realize the value of being present with our food. That food becomes us. That food that you eat 2, 3, 4 times a day when you sit down to a meal, that becomes you. If it's made with attention and love, and I mean from the very beginning, not just when it's cooked that afternoon or evening, from the beginning. If that animal was loved and cared for and was able to go out on the open range and live a respectable, decent, carefree life for themselves, that comes through in the quality of the meat and the health and nutrition of that meat. If you don't eat meat, good for you. That's up to you. If you want to do a vegetarian thing or vegan, I don't think it's a secret to anybody anymore that when we speak to our plants, go out in your garden, speak to them, sing to them, love them, they grow faster, they grow better, more beautiful, and more perfect. When you go to harvest those vegetables, bring them back in, you prepare them with attention. We look at our great spiritual leaders like Ramana Maharshi. He would wake up at 3 a.m. as the Kundalini is rising. First thing he did after he would meditate would be good to go into the kitchen and work shoulder to shoulder with the kitchen staff, peeling vegetables for the curry that day. The peels always went out to the animals, namely Lakshmi, the cow. As we know, cows are holy in India, right? He had a cow, Lakshmi, who was a very lucky totem for him and a beloved family member. And Bhagavan made sure to feed Lakshmi and the rest of the livestock and the rest of the animals. I'm talking about squirrels, monkeys, peacocks, all the other denizens of that place, the non-human animals. There's only a few things that would make him cross, and one of them was wastefulness, ditching stuff to the side just because you're too lazy. Those peels are sustenance. Those peels are God's provision. We don't just dump them in the trash to rot. We give them to the animals, or we fold them into a stock. We use everything. But everything that Ramana Maharshi did was like what I've been referencing. It was perfect. And even when he messed up, it was perfect because he operated in total integrity. What you see is what you get. When you can look into somebody's eyes and they don't look away in fear or shyness or nervousness because there's nothing to hide. They're just seated in this reality so profoundly. They're in this present moment so profoundly. They know they have nothing to lose. And even if they die, that's a blessing from above. I want to be able to look anybody in the world in the eye and say, this is who I am. I love you. I appreciate you. I am what I am. Take it or leave it. And if they leave it, it wasn't time for you to have a communion with them. If they take it, fine. I don't need to advertise a version of myself to anyone. I don't need to impress anyone. I just need to walk with God. That's what it comes down to. Walk with God in every moment. Hmm. That means not selling out who you are just to please some group of people. If you want to be fake, be fake with flair. Do it with gusto. Whatever you want to be. That's what my parents told me when I was a kid, and I subscribe to that. If you're going to be president of a company, do it with excellence. Be the best president you can be. If you're going to go knock over convenience stores for a living, be a great robber. Do it skillfully. I don't care what it is that your dharma is. Do it with intention, with integrity, with patience, with care. There's nothing worse than just cheating your way through a job just to get it done so you can collect a paycheck. I've been there, trust me. You just do what you think the boss wants you to do, show up for your 40 hours a week. That is a lot of time to spend futzing around with something untrue. You probably shouldn't be there in the first place. And you make it matters worse by not even doing the job correctly, but by doing it shabbily. That's a lack of integrity. The wonderful thing that I've noticed is that if you operate in integrity, and trust me, I'm not preaching to you about how you need to be like me. I'm out of integrity consistently. I'm sure there's times every day where I just miss an opportunity. And there's been times in my life where I was really out of integrity. And I learned through the school of hard knocks, taking a lot of lumps, that it just doesn't pan out so good if you do it like that. Results aren't nice. It comes down to karma. Some people might consider karma an Eastern idea. Scientists, reductive thinkers, people like that, in particular, may not think of karma as anything but a pipe dream or a hopeful, superstitious worldview. But karma is a law of the universe. It's a law of 3D and of 5D, I believe. There's a one-to-one input-output mechanism. So the inputs that come from me come back to me in a direct one-to-one relationship. If I put good works into the world, I'm rewarded with all the fruits of those good works. If I put incoherence and meaninglessness, just time wasting into the world, that's what I get back. Not down the road, now. One thing you'll find if you operate in total integrity, I don't mean 98%, I mean 100%. Hold yourself accountable, take yourself to task when you miss it. Operate in integrity 100%. People will believe what you say. And you go, wow, people didn't believe what I said before. Well, that's because you were out of integrity. You weren't really telling the total truth. You were shading. Even if it was by minor degrees, there could have been some shading there. Because you wanted to make yourself look better, because you were self-aggrandizing, because you wanted to sweep your mistakes under the rug. You would present a version of yourself that isn't quite 100. People pick up on that intuitively. So the times in my life I look back on when I was out of integrity, I couldn't really get people to take me seriously or believe what I had to say because I didn't believe it. How could they believe it if I don't? And this goes into the realm of business. It goes into the realm of personal relationships. You tell somebody you're going to do something, you follow through on it, you do that consistently. People like that. That's what the credit score is based on, right? Your FICO score. Mine has certainly dipped to problematic lows at certain times in my life because I remember when I first started out, when I was just like building, my whole household for the first time, early 20s. Oh, I can go get the stereo from Best Buy and they'll just give it to me and on credit. That's awesome. Thank you for the stereo. Really not realizing, oh, I have to pay it back. It's going to be payments. And then my credit went south. I was like, oh, geez. Well, I don't have to pay it. What are you going to do? Kill me? I'm just going to listen to my music on my stereo. Thank you for the stereo. And eventually you go, oh, it does catch up with you. And your FICO score, your credit score, as Robert Kiyosaki calls it, your FIDO score. It's your little yiping dog. If you're really operating on a certain level, it doesn't matter what your credit score is, because you're not going to be dependent on people giving you stuff because of that. But be that as it may, I think most people want to have a good credit score. And what is that predicated on? I go buy something on credit. I tell you, thank you for the loan. I'm going to pay you back on a monthly basis with X amount. And I do it. Credit stays high. What if I miss a payment? Once you miss a payment, it gets easier and easier to miss future ones, doesn't it? Once you don't follow through on what you say you're going to do to yourself and to others, it gets easier and easier to backslide, doesn't it? I blew it yesterday. I might as well blow it today. Who cares? But if you hold yourself to that standard every single time, at least on a set schedule, one day a week, I'm going to work on my book. Or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to work on this online course, some business class I've been wanting to take. You put that on your to-do list, and even if it's 11 o'clock at night and you're about to pass out and you go, oh, forget about my to-do list. Now I got to do my business course. I'll just do it tomorrow. What's the difference? Difference is do it now. Even if you just do a little bit, pull that up, watch one of the videos, take one of the little tests, do what you need to do a little research, whatever you need for that day. Even if it's 5 minutes, you're instantiating a rhythm of dependability. I can depend on myself. Therefore, others can depend on me too. Hence, I can depend on them, right? That's what karma is, the circle of karma. The circle of life, it's money, it's love, it's energy of all kinds that circulates around us. If you can be seen as a trustworthy vessel of that money, that love, that attention, people will give it to you. And you'll find others, they'll come out of the woodwork. Others who are dependable, others who you can count on. Isn't that great? I used to think that old maxim was dead true. If you want something done right, you got to do it yourself. That's generally always been true for me. I've had to wear many hats, not just this silly one. All my life, I've had to do everything. You make a little film, you're the key grip, the best boy, the gaffer, the casting agent, the director, the producer, the writer, the actor, everything. Because I didn't trust anybody else to do anything, because they always failed me. Oh, look at that layabout who just dropped the ball and didn't follow through on what they said they would do. If that ever happens to me, it should be a clue about how I'm behaving. Because if I am operating in integrity, I find so will other people. As they say in the Tao Te Ching, if you trust your army, they will be trustworthy. And that seems in the West as a perhaps backward, or again, superstitious or magical thinking. That is the mechanics of how things work. If I trust you fully, you will live up to that trust, in my experience. Not you personally, but you the general you, people. If you trust your army, they will be trustworthy. Some people say trust but verify. Trust Allah but tie up your camel. That's fine. I find that if you open your heart to someone who's, let's say that you hire to do a job, you treat them with honor, with patience, with love, treat them as one of your own, they'll always come through. They may make mistakes. That's cool. But when they do, it's a great opportunity for you to have their back and say, hey, we didn't quite get there this time. But that doesn't matter. I care about you. You're amazing. I could not do this without you. You don't have to make it up. Just tell them what's true. I couldn't do this without you. Have their back. When they screw up something with the client, they come to you, go, oh my gosh, I'm so stupid. I shouldn't have done that with the client. I'm sorry. Say, don't sorry. Don't say sorry. There's no sorry. You went out there and you swung for the fences. You're going to whiff a few times. Bat's going to fly out of your hand and hit a stray passerby. Hopefully it doesn't do too much damage. It'll happen. Swing for the fences. You roll with me, that's what we do. Good proportion of the time, we're not going to hit that grand slam, but when we do, it's going to be worth it. It's going to all be worthwhile. We're going to do it together. We're going to do it as a team because I got your back. And guess what? You may wake up the next day and they just totally botched something and you go, God, that was a boneheaded move. Gently go to them and say, here's how I would have done this. Here's how we might improve on this. But you don't ever go to the client and say, look what Biff did to screw everything up. If it wasn't for this Biff person that works with us, everything would be okay. Drive all blames back to yourself. My fault. I don't just say that for show. I don't just say that to be magnanimous. I say that because it's true. Any organization is top down. Back to the chef metaphor. If the chef is grumbling, complaining about the world, complaining about the guests, heaven forbid, grinding on this or that grievance while all the rest of the cooks are listening and the rest of the staff who sees that, it's very easy for that to be contagious. It's called bad morale, isn't it? It's very easy for them to go around complaining about everything now with a chip on their shoulder. That is the ugliest, and I've been there before in those kind of situations, different kinds of companies. That is the ugliest war zone to walk into when people are whining and complaining about the state of the world and about and biting the hand that feeds, complaining about their employer, complaining about their fellow workers and about the customers. Did you see what table 23 did? Did you see the crummy tip they left me? Did you see what they, that thankless, vengeful, angry attitude is just caustic, is just so poisonous. And so it's top down, the chef and the manager out front, GM, owner, whoever's the presence out there in the front of the house, equally important, of course. But they show an attitude of resilience and patience and good cheer and bonhomie, no matter what comes their way, even when when they go and get stuff. That's contagious too. And people will always rise up. People have a good nature to rise up and meet that. Some people would say, misanthropic people would say, gee, it's just human nature to have all the bad traits we've been talking about. I don't have to enumerate them again. It's just human nature. Sure, but you are the one, you in your sphere, whether you're the chef or the dishwasher or anyone in between. You're the one that cultivates that world, not anybody else. So if you are in integrity, and you approach your job and your life with goodwill and love and patience, and laugh it off when things get bad, and be compassionate to people when they're suffering and floundering and flailing, that coherence, that transmission of grace will come through you, and you'll be able to do God's work in the world. And if you don't believe in God, you just think it's the universe, you'll be able to live up to your universal plan, self-actualization. That's what we all want, right? It's no one else's duty to sculpt the perfect world, because I can't control those other people. I can only control myself. It's only my duty. It's my job to bring coherence wherever I go in the ways that I've been suggesting. If you subscribe to that and you want to do that, you will find that very quickly people start marching in lockstep to your behavior. It's not a matter of your power within an organization or within your family or your circle of friends. It's not a matter of your job title. Not a matter of bossing people around or telling people what to do. It's a matter of modeling coherence. That's what Jesus did, correct? He was a model. I often say Jesus wasn't a teacher, primarily. Sure, he taught a lot. You can read his teachings all throughout the Bible, his parables and his sayings. That's fine. Teach people things, they can memorize it, go practice it. That's okay. What Jesus was primarily was an avatar. He was God in human form, and he is God in human form. So when the hemorrhaging woman comes up behind him and she's been bleeding all of her life and nothing helps, and she's on the edge of death and none of the doctors can help her, and she reaches out and touches the hem of his garment and is flushed through with white light and is healed immediately. We talked about this story last week. It's because he has such profound integrity. He has not been a sieve letting all of his human energy filter out and get lost because of lies and misbehavior. He's captured that all inside of himself. That's called the Holy Spirit. His cup runneth over. Why? Because it doesn't have any holes in it. And his cup runneth over to the degree that when that woman touched just the hem of his garment behind him, he didn't even know she was there. She was healed, fleshed through with white light. That's called coherence. And it is in the pranic field of a drop of water. It's in the pranic field of your cells, the billions of cells in your body. That coherence, looked at under a microscope, looks like a snowflake. Perfect, crystalline, harmonious. That's when you're living in coherence. You bless your food when you eat it, when you bless yourself, when you bless others with your presence, with your patience, your compassion. That's called coherence, and that is contagious, instantaneous. Even if someone doesn't know you're in the room, if you bring that coherence in there, they will become coherent. You will find this if you haven't already. So I'll leave you today with the integrity challenge. Everything's a challenge on YouTube and TikTok and everything, right? Here's a challenge for you. Here's the integrity challenge. For tomorrow, if you're seeing this video live, we're live streaming it on YouTube, and we also have a Zoom call that you're welcome to join us on. Those login materials are below. If you're doing this, joining us on a Monday live right now, your tomorrow is Tuesday. If you're catching this video later, thanks for watching. Whatever your tomorrow is, here's the challenge. Write your to-do list. Write what's needful for tomorrow. Let God instruct you, tell you what you need to do. Meditate on it. God, show me the way. I don't know how to worship you. I don't know how to do your good works. I don't know how to be a good person. Please show me. He'll tell you and show you. He'll write that to-do list for you. Handful of things, 3, 4, 5 things. Doesn't have to be, you don't have to move mountains yet. You will soon. But tomorrow, make it easy on yourself. Just a few things. Make them hard enough that it's going to take a little bit of chutzpah to get them done. Don't just say, wake up on time, brush my teeth, take a cold shower. Those are great. Those are too easy. Do those, sure, for sure. That's table stakes. Do those. Do a couple of things that are hard. Write that down on your to-do list for tomorrow. And when you wake up with gratitude, you say your morning prayers, you meditate, have communion with God. Get out of bed early, take that cold shower, eat the frog. If you're up at 3 or 4 in the morning, you can go at that to-do list and get that done far before the crack of dawn. And then once you do that, you might go, that's pretty good. Didn't know I could do that. That's cool. Do it the next day. Write it the day before. Then write your December to-do list. Write your to-do list for Q1 next year. Write your to-do list for 2024. What are the markers that would show you that you're becoming who you want to become? Does it have to do with your income? Attach a number to it. I want to make $100,000 next year. The following year, I want to make $500,000. After that, I want to make $1 million. Whatever number you dream up, put it down. Put down what kind of car you want to drive, what house you want, what neighborhood is it in. Describe your perfect partner if you don't have one already. Think about the kind of Dharma work you want to be doing and describe that. Write it down. It will come true. Trust me. Trust me on that. It will come true, particularly if you lay the groundwork on a day-to-day basis, following through on what you say you're going to do in your to-do list and having integrity, walking through this world in that way. I believe in you. I trust you. I think you're going to knock this out of the park. And you're not just doing it for yourself, you're doing it for the whole world, and that includes me. If you succeed, I succeed. If you're happy, I'm happy. If you're not, I'm not. Blessings for a beautiful week ahead. I love you. Tune in next time, and we'll see you then.